you're good, John.
Yeah, our genius knowledge of Gen 6 OU. Sorry about the game earlier, Wind Song. I couldn't pull it together. It was bad.
It's week 1.
Yeah. Yep. So, what on earth are these guys' teams trying to do? Is Mega Heracross any good?
Okay, so TDK is trying to get 6-0'd by HP Ground Volk.
Okay, nice. That's the goal I have when I make all my teams.
And Laru is going to break stuff with meta at some point.
Sure. Is he? Does Larry use Volk?
That's a good question.
Like, sometimes you don't have to prep for Volk if the guy you're fighting doesn't use Volk.
I feel like it's something you should always prep for, just because, like,
so good.
It just cheeses.
It's just so good. Mm.
Okay, so rocks are up. Yeah, that mag is going to cause trouble for TDK. He can't really let get caught.
Okay, that matters because Tornadus tends to run superpower in this generation, right?
Yeah. That's irritating, but not going to be too huge.
Oh, who do we want to win? What teams are these?
I think TDK is Wolves, and Laru is whatever.
So it's the Wolfpack. TDK is Wolfpack?
I believe so.
Okay.
Let me check.
If he's Wolfpack, then the game doesn't matter, I thought. Because Wolfpack kind of dumpstered this week.
Okay, yeah, TDK is Wolfpack. The game does matter. They haven't clinched yet.
Oh, they've clinched a tie?
Yeah.
Okay. That burns
so
nice.
So we want... Probably...
We want Laru to win because we prefer it when other teams tie if we've lost.
Yeah. That keeps more teams close.
Yep, we want teams to be closer. So we're rooting for Laru here, so we're just going to do a little bit of switching sides action. Get Laru on the bottom so we can really root for him. Okay, so what... So how does Laru... So Laru only has... It seems like Heracross kind of breaks Laru's team if it just reads one thing. It's kind of hard to revenge.
The thing is, TDK always has to be careful of that meta. Because Bullet Punch is an Earthquake. Like, you don't know what it's going to run.
Because Metagross can run like 8 different moves in this gen, right?
It's probably not Hammer Arm because he wouldn't have mag with Hammer Arm.
Okay, why?
Because Hammer is basically for Pharaoh at this point.
Okay. That's just what it's for in Gen 6?
Like, I'm not an expert at this, but...
It also helps with Heatran. I guess it's like the mid-ground where, like, you really want help with Ferrothorn and you'd like some help with Heatran, and Meg just says, nah, just run other stuff. You can, like, build your team in this other way. Okay, that makes sense. And here, it looks like TDK is trying to get rid of these rocks, finally bringing in the spinner. Clefable probably going to switch out into, I have to say, Gastrodon? I want to go Gastrodon and Toxic Verotum.
I don't think Fable actually has to switch.
It just doesn't do anything. It's like, oh, you Moonblast, and then Starmie recovers, and you keep Moonblasting. It's like, well, I've burned 3 PP, but I guess you burn Recover PP. That seems good.
I think you actually outstall the star long term, and you can end this 1v1 with Roxa.
What if it's okay? So it does switch out the Clefable into Tornadus.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hard to really explain why, because all Tornadus does is fast U-turn, and looks like it would have been just better to have Moonblasted twice than gone in... Oh, Tornadus recovered a little bit there. So Larry trying to keep the Tornadus' health up to make it more able to switch in U-turn on Ferrothorn, Hurricane, the Mega Heracross, pretty strong. And gets another knockoff, not taking Iron Barb's damage because of that Magic Guard. Just whittling away at all these Pokemon now. There's no leftovers on the Ferrothorn, no leftovers on the Starmie, no leftovers on the Rotom.
Yeah. Of those, though, the only one that's really going to be critical is the
Ferrothorn.
Actually, the Starmie and the Road.
Does Ferrothorn not having leftovers not matter?
I assume it's going to get trapped at some point.
That's fair. That's fair, because that's what Mag's for.
Yeah. Now he's trying to catch the Tran.
Yeah, because Ferrothorn doesn't really want to stay on Clefable. Not much it can do, but Larry doesn't have Rapid Spin. I'm not sure what he's going to do if these spikes keep going up.
Again, I mean, he's just waiting to catch the Tran when that comes in.
And goes Magnezone on turn 14.
Perfect read.
But, ooh, TDK is so good. Knocked off to catch the Tran 3 times and switched in Scarf Magnezone on the 4th, but TDK goes Heatran on the 4th. I think that was, kind of reasonable because TDK had punished him so hard, and, I don't know. I think TDK could have very reasonably just spiked and said, yeah, I'm fine sacking Ferrothorn here. And so TDK takes that final opportunity to say, yeah, I've revealed spikes. I do have spikes. I'm going to punish you for knocking off. And then goes Heatran. So I think that's really well done from TDK. Magnezone gets the Volt out. Probably just going to go into Gastrodon. That's just the switch into Heatran, right? But goes Tornadus. Try and catch the Lava Plume, and also to catch a potential Toxic. Took a ton of damage on the switch in. It looks like Larry's just gonna lose.
It depends on what the meta is.
Yeah.
It depends very heavily on that.
It just feels like Larry's, getting bled out. Tornadus U-turns, but it's gonna be at, 21 when it comes back in. So Tornadus is kind of dead. Clefable can still put in a lot of work, that's for sure. It's Gastrodon. If it gets burned on the switch in, that would be terrible, but Larry not getting burned on the switch in, avoiding the Lava Plume. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Jesus, Metagross is a dumb Pokemon. But TDK's removed rocks, so Larry's going to have to work to get those back up. Defog does... Oh, Defog works in Gen 6?
Yeah, Gen 6 Sun.
Oops. I thought,
No, nobody actually plays this tier.
Yeah. I also, forgot that Tornadus doesn't get... the difference between Gen 6 and Gen 7 is not the... Oh my god. That was a misplay.
It's not a switch-in. So unnecessary.
What was Larry supposed to do? Sack? I'm sorry, what, Julia? You gotta speak up. Sorry, once more?
Maybe went to Metagross for Icicle Crash or some shit.
Yeah, but... And that makes sense as a play, but how do you switch into ban Weavile with Larry's team? He has to... You either go Clefable on the knockoff, or you go Metagross on the Icicle Crash. And he went, yeah, it looks like ban Weavile. You went Metagross on the knockoff, it's just kind of a 50-50, I think.
No, you can't play your win con that recklessly.
Yeah, it's the only way to actually do damage to look at this team.
Well, just think about it, right? Let's say he went for Icicle Crash. Very reasonable. You switch in Clefable. Clefable's dead. I guess you're saying, oh, it's okay if Clefable takes that damage as opposed to if Metagross takes that damage. So
But he can still spam knockoff since he hasn't knocked off anything yet, so it's actually kind of free.
yeah, so knockoff was the more likely option, and Leru should have recognized that. Yeah, I don't know. This feels like TDK is just putting on a clinic. Weavile should just clean this up. If TDK can get rid of this Clefable, there are no knockoff switch-ins other than it.
I mean, meta runs Bullet.
Is that enough? If Starmie and Weavile stick around, Metagross just isn't there.
Yeah, that's true.
Right now, TDK is winning the PP trade on Rapid Spin, but losing the PP trade on Moonblast versus Recover, I think.
You are correct.
So 11 more Recovers, 19 more Moonblast. Moonblast does 2/3 of 50. So I think Recover is slightly ahead, but Leru obviously has Knockoff as a potential option as well to do those extra points of chip damage. 41 as well. 37 being a low roll changes that a little bit. Might make it just enough PP to put this Starmie just out of range, and the problem is you can just switch Ferrothorn into Metagross if Metagross has no health, right?
I mean, he has to trap it first. That's the only way he actually wins this.
Okay. So the first thing Leru has to do, not necessarily first temporally, but first part of the sweep is he has to take out the Ferrothorn. Then he has to make it so that Rotom doesn't revenge the Metagross or that he flinches. So if he
also
has to...
have the star at around 50.
At around 50?
Or I'm assuming it's Quake.
Why do you think it's Earthquake?
Mostly because this team just kind of folds to Tran otherwise.
Because you can't just have Gastrodon as a Heatran answer.
Yeah, because it's getting toxic. It's not beating Protect Tran over a long game.
So you think Metagross is not Hammer Arm because it has Magnezone, but is Earthquake. So you're thinking Earthquake, Meteor Mash, Bullet Punch, Zen? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's probably Zen, Quake, Meteor, actually running Bullet or not.
What else could he run? He can run Thunder Punch and Ice Punch.
I think Ice Punch is possible with this team.
Thunder Punch seems unlikely considering that he has two other electrics. I've seen a lot of Metagross run Stealth Rocks, but obviously that's on the Clefable.
I think Ice is probably the most likely.
And that 13% chip is really helpful in stalling out the recovers. There's only 4 left for this Starmie, something that a crit Scald will not change. I'd like to see Leru go for a few more knockoffs to try and catch the Heatran. Starmie really does want to switch soon. And so, mixing up his attacks is going to be really crucial to winning this mid-game. Is there ever any other play other than staying in with Clefable for a while? Okay. So TDK preserves the Starmie. And Leru just goes for the trap, gets it off. Excellently played. Magnezone, it's going to lose its Scarf, but it's done its job, you know. The Zone is here to kill the Ferrothorn. And when Zone doesn't kill Ferrothorn, it doesn't do that much, you know. Scarf Flash Cannon's alright, but killing Ferrothorn is such an important slot for Leru's team. Probably not running Heat Wave on his Zapdos. Defog, Roost, T-Bolt, HP Ice, potentially, to deal with Garchomp. So, taking care of this Ferrothorn is really important. But now, TDK just gets a knockout on this Magnezone, or can Lava Plume into the Gastrodon switch-in. Could Toxic the Gastrodon switch-in as well. Considering that's Lava Plume Protect, we could definitely see Heatran running Toxic on this set. Right?
yeah, I would expect probably Tox and Earth, or
is Flash Cannon not viable? No, there's just not a good enough reason, right? Doesn't do enough.
Yeah, they don't really run it.
Just kind of sucks. Okay. I think toxicking the Magnezone is fine. Leru has recovered his time really excellently. He went down to 10 seconds on turn 23, but is chilling at 270 seconds right now. Using a few of those here just to figure out what's going on, but really excellent time management from Leru, knowing when he has to use his time and when he can click his moves as fast as possible and recover all the lost time. Some other players, like, we've had a ton of controversial timeouts this tournament. It really does feel bad. No one likes to win by timeout, except for me. And everyone on your team. But it does feel unpleasant. And Leru, knowing not to time out in these types of important games, really well played from him. Gets a Volt Switch off. Magnezone's faster than the Heatran, knows because of the leftovers, unlikely to be speedy. Goes Zapdos on the Lava Plume, and takes the burn. That's not going to be good for Leru.
That's really unfortunate.
I mean, Lava Plume burns,
Yeah, but 2 for 2 is...
No. He Lava Plumed the Gastrodon as well.
Oh, okay.
It's, slightly above average, and Leru goes for the defog, but TDK just says, nah, that's Zapdos. Leru knows that Zapdos' main role for the rest of the game was defog, but because the Ferrothorn was knocked out, he didn't really need to preserve Zapdos much longer. If, he can use his Gastrodon to deal with the Gastrodon and Clefable to deal with the Rotom, potentially a Zen from the Metagross, then he'll be able to do everything that Zapdos was doing, but a little bit better. Tornadus is still around to revenge kill the Heracross, and so I think, a reasonable play coming out from Leru, especially because Roost wasn't going to do much.
Yeah,
and he could get Earth-powered on a Roost. Are there any other games going on right now? Nope, not yet.
I hate this gen. I don't know how X-Ray plays it.
What's wrong with this gen?
It's really unbalanced. There were just too many strong threats that never really got...
Did somebody say Gen 7 OU?
Against King Queen.
Sorry. Got that Poker Stars coming up on my...
No, I think that Gen 7 is better.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, Gen 7 is not stable yet. Like, they still have suspect rounds to go. Gen 6, like, it's impossible to team build in such a way that you
cover all the
auto-lose to some things.
Gen 7, it sounds like, from what I've heard, everything's just, like, a little bit higher power level, but it's all okay because the higher power levels are compensate for each other, and there's a lot more room for more balance. I don't know, there's a lot of room for balance here, but it seems like the offensive threats are a bit too scary.
Yeah, and also just, like, if you build anything that can check everything, then it's too passive to beat anything that's, like, moderately bulky.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is the OU that I played the least by a huge margin. Least actually qualified to talk about.
I mean, I'm not particularly qualified to talk about much OU myself, being a doubles main, but, here we are, talking about some kind of interesting games. Larry seems to be thinking a lot. What do you think his decision is between? Do you think he's trying to decide between going Metagross and trying to Zen the Rotom, or going Gastrodon and just trying to, like, Toxic the Rotom?
I think that he's debating meta. He's probably thought too long. Or, oh wait, this Tran has Protect, so he can't bluff Quake. I don't know if he has Quake or not, if he goes meta.
And Heatran should just protect this turn, right? I don't think there's a good enough reason not to.
Yeah, he absolutely should.
Protect is fantastic move. Absolutely phenomenal. Especially in doubles. But, it's decent in singles. And just Ghost Army recognizes that one of the problems with Protect in singles is that although you get a little bit of leftovers recovery, you kind of let your opponent know that you're going to switch out. And so you oftentimes want to switch out first, just on the play that you think they're going to make, instead of letting them read you on the second go through. Oh, and goes Heatran on the start on the Clefable. Doesn't get knocked. Really well played from TDK. But I don't know what the Heatran does. Potentially it taunts the Clefable.
Okay, there we go. So it probably doesn't have Tox.
That's going to make life tough for TDK. But Rotom should be a free switch in here if he wants to go for it. Gastron just going to Earthquake. So if your Heatran stays in, it's gone.
If Gastro has Tox, then that was the turn he Toxes.
I mean, he can't. He's taunted.
I didn't see that.
Because he taunted the Clefable. Yeah. So, I think you Earthquake again here.
You don't really want to get Wisped.
You're going to get burned eventually. You kind of... You don't want to get Wisp, but I think you're going to eventually. Like, your Gastrodon is your only real Lava Plume switch in at this point. I guess Tornadus T can switch in now, given that there aren't any more Stealth Rocks. It'll only be at 33%. Lava. And so Tornadus will take 25% of the switch and it'll gain 7% and lose. So Tornadus can technically switch into Lava Plume, but it can't take a second, so it has to U-turn out. And that just seems really mediocre to me, and you have to U-turn out into your Gastrodon, or just hard switch because the Heatran can protect, take away some health. So Gastrodon's going to get burned eventually, right? It'd be nice not to get it burned now, but I feel like Toxic is just so telegraphed here that I really want to Earthquake the Starmie, I think. Rotom just stays in, goes for the Will-O-Wisp. Gastron curses. That's going to be very unpleasant for Leru. My understanding is that if you're cursed, you run Recover Scald as your last two moves.
Yeah.
And that means Leru just doesn't really have a Rotom W answer.
Yeah, but that thing doesn't, or the Rotom doesn't have Recovery.
It does have Pain Split. Gastron's Waterfall. Oh, that is unpleasant, but, Starmie going to get free recovery, free rapid spin here. Leru has to go Clefable, get up those rocks again, or just heal the Clefable, which is actually pretty low on HP. So here, you have to soft-boiled, because you're running out of HP on your Clefable, but I think you just rocks again. Yeah, smart play from Leru.
Oh, that's good.
And now gets the knock on the Heatran. Going to be really critical throughout the rest of this game. Going to need to switch out Clefable here, though. I think you could probably go for soft-boiled. Because Heatran's likely to go for Lava Plume, and if it goes for Taunt, you're not wasting a soft-boiled PP. And so Clefable able to maintain at full health, but going to have to go back to Gastrodon, which is going to just take a ton of chip damage. And I think Heatran can just Earth Power here pretty much for free. Taunts the Gastrodon, which goes for Earthquake. So that Heatran is going to get knocked out on the switch-in, but is able to pressure the Gastrodon enough, and Leru, smart double. Not double. Switch. Just a switch.
That was a double.
Was it a double? Oh, no, he Earthquaked.
Yeah.
It's not a double if you just Earthquake. No one doubled.
Baked, and then he went to Fable as TDK went to Hera.
Yeah. So Laru preserves his Gastrodon's HP. He's going to need to get a recover off with the Gastrodon. It's going to be hard as he doesn't have any other switch-ins to Lava Plume. Especially considering that Heatran has Taunt. So is forced to go Tornadus. Going to be interesting to see what he does with the Tornadus. U-turn is the level 1 play, but Protect just makes that just punishes that so hard. Right? And TDK doesn't Protect. Just goes for the Lava Plume. Gastrodon's getting knocked out really fast.
Yeah, that was very iffy. I think Fable might have been a little bit better there.
Does Laru go for the recover? Oh, he doesn't.
This thing is in. And now it can kind of go to town.
So the question is, does Psyshock kill at this range? You have to imagine with Cursed Gastrodon, it's going to be mostly invested in special defense and HP and HP. So that means Psyshock's likely to take it out from 22. So there's no way to get Gastrodon to recover on any Pokemon except for Rotom. So here I want to sack Magnezone. And also all that means is that...
Bring in Tornado.
And then you U-turn on the Starmie into Clefable. It's looking really rough for Laru, and I talked about Laru's time management all the way back down to 10 seconds. Will we see another timeout in this week of timeouts of SPL? 5 seconds, Laru doesn't seem to want to make a move, but he's made it. He's made it. TDK is the one who is thinking.
Jesus.
Have a little bit of heart attack here, man. I don't know how John does it. From what I've heard, John just takes all his time at the beginning and then makes the rest of his plays in 15 seconds. But TDK is the one who's choosing now. I think I'd like to see a Rock Blast. But you do want to see him knock out the Magnezone. So I guess close combat would be alright. Yeah. Goes into Metagross. What?
What? That is... Oh my... Okay,
Larry has 5 seconds left, goes Tornadus.
That is very iffy. I guess his win con now is Fable.
Just Hurricanes the Rotom, doesn't even U-turn. If he was able to U-turn there with the Tornadus, which admittedly would be on a read of the Heracross switching out, he would have been able to get in Gastrodon for free. Here, likely to see Rotom Volt switch. No, that doesn't work, because now you can U-turn into Gastrodon. Yeah, I don't like that switch from TDK. I think I would have liked to see TDK switch into something a bit more... I think I'd like to have seen a double from TDK on turn 94 into Starmie. Oh, and Laru just switches out the Gastrodon?
He didn't want to recover into Pain Split.
I think he did. I think his Gastrodon's knocked out now. I don't think he has any damage left. I don't think he has any Icicle Crash switch-ins. And yeah, you can just Pursuit here with Weavile, knock out the Tornadus, and then Weavile can just, come in at any point, claim a kill. This game is super over, and I think Laru, his time management was good early on, but lost a bunch of that later, and I think that really hurt him. Able to take out the Rotom, but TDK was just sacking it. Didn't really need it anymore. Didn't deal with anything that was left. Now you got Clefable in. Maybe this is a little bit closer than I thought it was.
Yeah, this Fable is still very much keeping the game alive for TDK because
No. The game's over. The game's over. Starmie just clicks Rapid Spin. So Laru's gonna have to go Magnezone on this Starmie, and TDK doesn't have a Volt switch in, so if he's able to preserve rocks, maybe. But TDK winning the PP trade, losing the recover PP trade, as we talked about earlier, only one recover left, but a bunch of rapid spins, and that crit changes not that much.
That crit doesn't change anything.
But TDK is just going to rapid spin until Starmie gets knocked out. Scald's, as long as rocks are up. Scald's there, does some chip damage. But rocks are soon going to go down. You can't prevent Starmie from removing the rocks here. Magnezone doesn't have a scarf anymore. So Starmie will always be able to rapid spin before it gets knocked out and then switch into the counter. In this position, I think I'd like to see TDK go Heatran on the Clefable.
Right, but he has to spin first.
Yes, of course. Like, once the Starmie's knocked out, is what I meant.
Yeah.
As we see happen right now. So Leru decides finally, okay, Starmie needs to get taken out. Doesn't set up rocks. Knows that he'll lose the PP trade. Clefable only having 5 stealth rocks left. And he's just running out of time. Interesting double from TDK. Not really sure what the point was. Didn't want to get Heatran trapped by the Magnezone.
It's possible that the Heatran, or I don't know what TDK's spread is, but if the Mag
outspeeds, we saw that earlier.
We saw when it had the scarf on.
No, it outsped after the scarf got knocked off. Yes.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. Didn't want it trapped because if it got trapped, then in theory Fable could win this.
It volted. Yeah, so on turn 67, Magnezone got knocked. And then on turn 69, it volt switched Heatran before it got lava plumed.
Okay.
So preserving Heatran was pretty smart there, and he knew Clefable was switching out. So he just went Mega Heracross, gets the Swords Dance up, and I don't think Clefable will be able to take... I'm not sure at all about that Rock Blast. I think that's really just greed, especially if he has low kick on the... Well, he might not have low kick. Just imagine the Rock Blast misses twice. The Rock Blast misses once. That's the same as close combating twice. So if the Rock Blast misses once, that's the same as close combating twice. So he takes a 90% chance to have a better return and a 1% chance to potentially lose the game. Which I think is quite reasonable, honestly. Well played by TDK, I think. I think that Leru did not really play that well. Letting his Metagross take damage and not do a single point to any of TDK's Pokemon felt like a big mistake. Leru's team also just felt like... It felt like Leru did not have much to do in the matchup, regardless of how it played out. But Leru couldn't keep rocks up. Starmie just kind of beat the Clefable on that. And by the time that TDK allowed rocks to stay up for, as long as he felt comfortable, but, eventually he started running out of PP, he started getting into a good position mid-game, and said, okay, I'll trade my Starmie so that you can't get out rocks anymore. Gets him down, brings in his sweepers. And it felt like Leru didn't really have Rotomancers on his team, which seems kind of strange to me.
Still trying to figure out what the meta was, because it's the thing that should have made an impact this game that just didn't. And I have no idea what it was running in order to just actual.
X-Ray commenting that TDK played really well in the late game, which I think, we can all agree on. But also that he was not supposed to wisp the Clefable. I don't know where the Thunderwave was on TDK's team. Potentially on the Ferrothorn. Rotom had Thunderwave?
I believe so.
It had Will-O-Wisp. If it had, it did have Thunderwave. Yeah, he Thunderwaved the Tornadus and it went into Clefable. Yeah, that's just very strange to me. So when's our next game?
Next game is supposed in 15 minutes. It's like Fear versus Keen.
Is Raining Inside versus Insidia isn't a game. Okay.
Fuck is Raining Inside?
I don't know,
But
dude.
this is a real gen.
But there's no game. Literally, there is a forfeit.
Yeah, in 15 minutes. GSC time.
Are there any more doubles games left? There are, 6? There are 5 games in each tier in a week, except for Gen 7 OU.
Yeah.
So I've played, Edu played, Emilio played, Inosh played, and Croven played. So there's no more DOU. Unfortunate. Bowman won. Edu won on timeout. Croven destroyed Fespi, and SMB destroyed Inosh. It just wasn't really close in Croven and Inosh's games. The DOU top players saying, "Hey, we know what's up," and the kind of weaker players, potentially me, but I think I'm a little bit stronger than my performance showed. And Inosh and Fespi all just kind of folding, and Bowman showing that, hey, he still got it after a mediocre Snake. We'll see what if he's able to put up that performance week on week, but I think he was able to put up a pretty good one today.
Bowman played a great game.
I mean, Bowman played a game, but Emilio also just didn't have any way to win.
That was the one that got timer, though, right?
No, that was Bio versus Edu, which was a fantastic game.
Yeah, that one was great.
That was genuinely phenomenal. I think I'd like to watch that and do some analysis right now. But the Bowman game was he had CMEC Cress and Emilio had no answers. So they just kind of played Pokemon for a while, and then it was like, oh, well, I guess I forfeit because I have no answers to CMEC Cress.
Rip.
Yeah, CMEC Cress is a silly Pokemon.
Oh, right. That was the Icy Wind, just annihilating everything. I remember that game.
Yes. So let's check the replays, because Edu versus Biosci was genuinely fantastic, and I'd like to see if we can break it down. Help introduce any of our Smogon viewers to, if we have any. I don't think we have that many viewers in the first place. Oh, we have Soga King. Great.
Also, for any Smog players, for any of the VGC players out there watching, hi, I'm John's manager in SPL.
Ass man, not manager.
Yo.
Okay, so do you have the replay up, Wendy, or do you want to see?
Can you link it?
Yeah. So just starting on the first turn, starting before team preview, it looks like Edu has kind of a semi-room team with potentially Tailwind Hydreigon. It looks like the Z is probably on Coco. Well, okay, so so here's one thing interesting to note. If the Landorus is special, then Edu has only one physical attacker, which I think is a bit too low. So, and also he has 2 ground immunities. So I think we can figure out that the Landorus is physical. Even though I knew this, I've learned this from watching the game, but I think we can guess that the Landorus is physical going in with Earthquake and Stealth Rocks. Stealth Rocks just being so amazing. Is the team weak to Tapu Fini? The team's pretty weak to Tapu Fini, so I expect this Volcanion to be Sludge Bomb instead of Substitute. I'm not, since the Earthquake is on the Landorus, I expect the Landorus to be Z and not anything else. That makes the Coco probably a Life Orb. Cresselia is probably Citrus Berry. I think that's the best item right now. And coming from Bioside, the Mew could have roughly any moveset as long as it includes Trick Room. Bulu is probably Gracium Z. 1 second, I have to go talk to someone. No, they just like shenanigans happen.
Okay. You getting outside at all?
I'm doing a thing down outside.
It's okay. It's no problem. I'll go this way. See you later.
Okay, so
Hey, Wendy.
I actually really played this year, but just from what I've seen so far, this SPL, and from what Nick has told me, do bad things to both teams, or to BSI, probably Trick Room, something.
So the Mew is Trick Room, the Goth is Trick Room, and the Stack Attack is Trick Room.
Great, thanks for that clarification.
They're all Trick Room. There's a bunch of Trick Room. So Cresselia is also Trick Room.
Okay.
So Biosci is running like a hard Trick Room team with Camerupt, which probably has like nature power, I'm thinking. Because you want to be able to... his team's very weak to Tapu Fini, so you want to be able to switch in Bulu and one-shot the Fini. And looking at leads, I expect Edu to lead something like Coco because it has Volt Switch, and maybe Volcanian's pretty good. Volcanian doesn't have sub, but Volcanian's kind of good like pressure, and you might be able to protect it with alternate pressure from your partner Pokemon. So something like Coco Volcanian seems pretty good. And from Biosci, I expect to see a Trick Room lead and a Fake Out Mom, which could be Mew, but is definitely Incineroar. Okay, so let's look at the first turn. You got Mew, Incineroar, yep. And Edu leads Cress, Landorus. So Cress, just because he didn't want the Volcanion to get trapped, and I think we might have a game. Is MJ versus Neomon? No, it's not. Cool. So on this turn one...
SM game left.
What's up, Jules?
There's no SMOE game left.
Okay, what's left?
Like one GSC game, one NU game, but look up the League game.
Okay, so let's just start this game. So we probably want to see Mew go for Trick Room and Incineroar go for U-turn. But Incineroar just fakes out the Cresselia and Mew gets Trick Room off. So Edu, recognizing that he doesn't want to, have anything silly like fake out Ice Beam happen, switches out his Landorus into the Volcanion, and switches out Cresselia into Coco, just trying to, get better switch-ins later. Prepares him for a bunch of different options. So gets the Coco in on the fake out, Volcanion comes in for free, and Mew sets up Trick Room. So now you want to not let Volcanion get trapped. So I'm kind of looking into switching Volcanion out into Landorus or something like that, and then Volt switching with my Tapu Koko. Whereas for Biosci, I'm looking to U-turn with my Incineroar and probably switch my Mew into Tapu Bulu, I think. So Incineroar U-turns, Mew not switching, so gets Incineroar to go into Tapu Bulu, which takes a Steam Eruption. Does it burn? It does not burn, so really lucky for Biosci there. And Mew gets off the Stealth Rocks, whereas Coco just U-turns. So Coco U-turning reveals that one is probably Assault Vest. No non-Assault Vest Coco is going to go for U-turn. And it also reveals Mew has Stealth Rocks, but I don't think this is a great position for Biosci. Edu just has the free switch into Mawile on the Volcanion slot and Landorus on the Cresselia slot. So Biosci is going to have to punish that with potentially a Z move into the Cresselia. Gets in the Gothitelle, just protects with Bulu, trying to see what's going on. And Edu decides not to switch at all, just reverses the Trick Room and puts the Heat Wave into the Bulu slot. So really strong play from Edu. Wants to prevent the massive amount of damage coming out, but leaves his Volcanion open to a potential Grass Z, which I think is really risky. It's really, really risky. So he's saying, hey, if you want to trade, I'll trade. But I think that could have worked out really poorly for Edu. I guess his idea is Gothitelle comes in. Okay, so Gothitelle comes in. Volcanion Heat Waves. Bulu knocks out the Cresselia. Cresselia doesn't get Trick Room off. And then Edu goes into... Oh, we saw during Grassy Terrain that Volcanion was slower, so Bulu has to protect. So I do Heat Waves to threaten that, and then just Trick Rooms safely with Cresselia. Very strong. So yeah, Gothitelle comes in, protect, Heat Wave, first Trick Room. So here, Edu probably wants to switch out the Cresselia maybe into Mawile and protect the Volcanion. It's really scary for Volcanion to be around in front of a Grass Z from a Bulu. Could switch into Lando, but I think a Mawile switch in on the Cresselia slot is very reasonable. Switching into Hydreigon, which is what Edu does, makes a little bit of sense because Hydreigon might have a fire move, and also takes Grass Z is a little bit less important to the matchup than Mawile is. So he switches into Hydreigon, and I expect to see something like maybe a Helping Hand Woodhammer, but just a regular Woodhammer, and a Re-Trick Room. Not sure I like that from Biosci, because now Volcanion's free to just Steam Eruption the Bulu, and there's really no switch in. And just Sludge Bombs the Bulu. Smart play from Edu, recognizing that Bulu doesn't actually want to switch out, and that he can probably deal with a Camera Up switch in, but also just making the read. Gets the Sludge Bomb. Dark Pulse is the Gothitelle, just in case. Probably Dark Pulse is the Bulu slot, and works out. Now Stack Attack is in, though, and that's pretty scary. So, able to switch out with Hydreigon. Gothitelle might just be competitive. Yeah, and so Edu correctly identifying that Gothitelle was competitive, checking that earlier on, really smart play. And here he's probably just going to be reversing Trick Room. Volcanion flinches, double flinches, really unfortunate for Edu there. And now Volcanion gets the Toxic and protects, but Biosci gets the fantastic double Trick Room play. Going to be able to reverse the Trick Room and then set it up again for another 4 turns. Wow. And yeah, this Mawile comes in, but the competitive Gothitelle is starting to put in work. Stops putting in work too when Mawile knocks it out, and Edu is able to reverse the Trick Room from the Stack Attacka. So keeps Trick Room down. It's going to be able to put in a little bit more work without Trick Room getting set up. But Biosci just fakes out, sets up Trick Room again. Going to be able to push some damage. Hey Val. Val's muted, but you guys might talk to him soon. Knocks out the Cresselia and lets Landorus go for an Earthquake, but doesn't do anything through that Shuka Berry. And now this AV Coco probably going to go for something like a Nature's Madness or a U-turn onto the Mew. It switches in the Mawile, take the Ice Beam, gets knocked out though. And okay, so Mew's at low, Volcanion's at low. Volcanion switches out into Hydreigon, wants to not take the Earth Power, but Biosci just Earth Powers the Coco. Ice Beams the Hydreigon, really powerful play from Biosci. Not risking the Protect, not risking a whole bunch of things. But Edu probably could just protected Volcanion there and switch on to Hydreigon. I think that would have been relatively, well, it's probably a double. Trick Room ends. So here, I think you want to double the Mew. And because Camera Up is so likely to protect, and Mew is so likely to switch into Incineroar, but Camera Up doesn't protect, just Heat Waves, able to drop the Volcanion down to 1. Mew comes in, and so here it is. The Landorus is able to knock everything out with Earthquake, and Biosci loses to activity. Mew has Fake Out, which has been revealed. Does Mew have Fake Out? Has that been revealed? Trick Room, Stealth Rock, Ice Beam, Ice Beam, Ice Beam, Trick Room, Stealth Rock. So it hadn't been revealed that Mew had Fake Out, and so it turns out Biosci was going for Fake Out on the Landorus and Heat Wave, which if it hit probably would have knocked Landorus out and would have won Biosci the game. If it missed, game was over for Edu. Edu went for Protect on the Volcanion and Knock Off. So, really unfortunate timeout for Biosci. Gotta click faster. Apparently Larry choked, but I'm not sure when.
Well, that's a question for later. GSC should be starting right now.
Okay, so we'll see some GSC in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait. There will be games soon. And that means that the Wolfpack have locked up a win in the first week, right? GSC is starting right now, according to Case Victory. Yo, Valentine. Okay, he's not here yet.
He's scared of talking. He's shy.
Nothing wrong with being shy.
Well, he actually is, but I don't know what he's doing. I actually don't want to know what he's doing.
Let's watch Ricardo versus Pogis for now. Pogis, one of the best players currently on the site. I think he's won like a ton of trophies this year and almost managed to a snake victory, but was let down just in the final game. Not sure what his OU skill is like.
He's good overall. I just don't know how good he is since I don't really know anything about Gen 7.
Yeah, Gen
Or Gen
7 is
6.
a little bit weird. It's just a friendly though, so we're probably not going to see too much useful information. That's a bulky lander. What landers takes 15% from -1 high jump kick? That's insane.
Pretty bulky, like,
Probably like max phys def.
alright, the game started. GSC time.
The game started? Yeah. Okay, Julio, I'm going to need you to really explain this to me because I'm a little bit lost. Okay, so first things first. They both led Snorlax.
Okay, one revealed his set already. He's double edge flamethrower toxic rest. Fear just revealed he's double edge, so he's not belly drum Snorlax.
Okay.
He might be cursed. He might be toxic himself. Oh, I'm not sure if Keenan predicted the Gengar, but this is good for him.
I don't think that was a Gengar predict. I think it was just switch Umbreon into Snorlax is good.
Gengar's safe for now. He can switch out for free now, but this Umbreon might be sleepy talk.
So Umbreon normally runs Pursuit, right?
Yes, always. Unless it's mean look trap.
Okay. So Gengar was trapped in until it hit the hypnosis. And we do have Fear using the SPL avatars made by the fantastic, I believe it was Kala Loki.
I don't know, but maybe. And then we see the Sleep Talk Umbreon, and then we see Fortress. That's bad for Keenan. Keenan might go to his own Fortress if he gets.
So Sleep
Oh,
Talk
yes.
Umbreon means it's rest. Starmie. I never see Starmie in GSC.
That's the second one this week.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it in a long time.
Okay, overusing stuff. Fear's last two are definitely Skarmory, and the last one is Suicune.
Why?
Keenan, well, Fear's last two pokes are Skarmory and Suicune.
Yeah. Why? How do you know that?
I just know it. It's the team structure. It gives it away. He's using Stall. You can
Okay.
see it by Raikou, by Fortress, by Snorlax. He's using really passive pokes, except for Gengar. I might be wrong, but I feel like he's using Stall.
Okay.
Also considering the lead he's using.
Okay.
And Keenan is using Stall too, since Toxic Legs is more of a Stall staple set.
So you're telling me we're going to be here for 3 hours?
Not necessarily. And Keenan's last two might be like Skarmory definitely, and the last one might be Fortress. It might be the same team Lavos used. It could be Cloister 2 instead of Fortress, but I think it might be Fortress.
You'd have to think you don't want to run 3 electric weeks and 1 resist.
Ah, damn. See, I was right about the team.
Okay, so now we know all of Ken and 6. Does Fear have Fire Blast?
Well, I'm not sure. He might be Toxic Legs too. If it's Toxic Legs on Fear's side, it's Flamethrower.
Smart play from Kennen. But you can just switch Gengar out unless Umbreon wakes up, right? And sleep is anywhere from 1 to 7 turns.
This is gonna be a long game.
Okay, so Kennen doesn't want to risk the potential loss of tempo from going for the Pursuit. Just goes into Raikou on the Fortress, switch in. Fortress rapid spins away the spikes. You can't let spikes stay out forever. But Raikou does 52% with Thunderbolt. That's pretty uncommon on Raikou, right? Normally they run Thunder.
On Stall, it's more calm. Since you want the PPs, and if you miss a Thunder on a crucial turn, for example against the fucking Stormy trying to desperately spin, you're fucked, mostly.
So, you're expecting Fear to also have Thunderbolt Raikou? No, he had Thunder. Fear has Thunder. Revealed Thunder on turn 7.
Oh, well, he's taking a more offensive.
So maybe it's not. Oh, wow, and Kennen keeps going Umbreon on the Gengar switch-ins. It's really strong.
Yeah, he wants to wake up, and he wants to probably force switches he likes.
Yeah, and
I
so
think
Gengar goes
Fortress here, since his Fortress might be HP Fire, and Fortress on Fortress means Fear has to switch out, otherwise he dies to HP Fire. I think he's at the rain. Oh, Fear is Curse Legs. Yeah, that's definitely the team he used last SPL. I don't remember against who, but I think it's like Curse, EQ, Double Edge. And Keenan should just go Skarmory. Unless this is Flamethrower, then he kind of loses to it. Okay, this crit is big.
Is that crit big? It means the second crit will knock out.
But doesn't need the second crit, but Skarmus has the issue. He doesn't know what the coverage move is. If it's Fire Blast, it dies right here.
Unless it rests.
Well, he obviously should rest.
And just goes for the Whirlwind.
Okay, he doesn't have a Suicune, he has a Vaporeon for more offense. I see, he's not the team I was anticipating. He's a more offensive one. Fear might actually be in a better position than I thought he would.
So you think so? Like Fear's running stall, but like a little bit offensive. So what does Vaporeon do that Suicune doesn't?
Well, he might be just some sort of balanced heat, let's phrase it like that. Oh, I don't like it. Yeah, he's growing, that's good for him since the Raikou Parrot. The Food Parrot can seal this deal, but Keenan is actually in a horrible position right now.
But Fear just switches out that Vaporeon, doesn't want to get Thunderbolted. Knows that 25% chance to win the game on the spot is 75% chance to put yourself in a bad position, and just takes a safe approach. If this Umbreon stays asleep on this Thunder, it could go really south for Kennen really quickly.
Yeah, and he can actually... He shouldn't spike here, he should just switch out again, go through
Fortress doesn't want to take 52% from another Thunderbolt for sure. So you're likely going to see this Fortress switch out. Spikes don't stay up too long against two spinners.
Well, the opposing Fortress probably doesn't have Rapid Spin. It uses this move slot for different moves like HP Fire, Giga Drain, Toxic, whatever.
What does Fortress normally run? What are its three required moves?
Well, if it's not Starmie Fortress teams, then it's like the main moveset always has spikes.
And Fear just spikes, but gets it off. Excellently, maybe not excellently done, but that's a fantastic result for Fear.
Yeah, it is. He is now in the lead, in the big lead. Parrot Raikou means that the +1 serve after spikes should, I believe, 2-hit KO. I'm not sure anymore. I know Hydro Pump does, but Hydro Pump is like strong as shit.
So we're probably going to see Fear go into Raikou now to try and catch the Starmie switch in.
Probably.
And also to take the Thunderbolt. Does do that. Kennen goes Snorlax on the Raikou switch in. And then Raikou goes Gengar. For once, Kennen doesn't switch into Umbreon, just double edges the Gengar switch in.
Yeah, Gengar's pretty free.
Well, unless the Snorlax had Earthquake, but since it revealed Toxic, probably pretty unlikely.
And considering he has an Umbreon...
Which has Toxic.
Well, the Umbreon doesn't have Toxic, but Umbreon is usually just used to trap Gengar and Misdreavus. More so Gengar, because Misdreavus actually isn't trapped if it runs Rest. Then it just falls down.
So Gengar just goes for the little bit of Ice Punch chip damage. That did nothing.
Okay.
Pokemon are super bulky in GSC.
You know what happens now? He just waits for a moment when the Umbreon gets in, switches his Vaporeon in, hopes the Umbreon stays in. If it does stay in, he grows up once. And then Raikou's into a KO range. That means he can't switch the Raikou in. He has to sack something. Then Raikou gets in. Then Raikou still doesn't KO the Vaporeon unless something does damage it enough.
And now Fear is just trying to pressure the Raikou. Doesn't want to use the Thunder. It's just trying to force it to use Rest. If you do enough chip damage to the Raikou, it'll be in growth range. And now Raikou is forced to use Rest, but probably has Sleep Talk.
Most likely not. It's Roar.
Oh, it's Roar.
Yeah, it's like stall teams. He kind of needs Roar Raikou because otherwise opposing Roar Raikous just steamroll him since Starmie hates T-Bolts, Fortress hates E-Bolts, Armory hates T-Bolts, Umbreon doesn't do anything back to Raikou, and Snorlax can't always switch in since the Raikou will force it out via Roar, or rather force it out via Roar on the switch in, and so the only way to combat opposing Roar Raikou is your own Roar Raikou.
Okay, sure. That makes sense to me. And so now that the Raikou is asleep, Fear goes Snorlax. Probably going to curse up, I think. Or maybe he wants to switch into Vaporeon on the Umbreon switching.
He might go Storm here, but both were. Since Double Edge does way too much to Umbreon.
Just goes Fortress and gets a double edge off on the Fortress. I'm not sure what this Fortress does.
gonna try to get spikes down again. Otherwise, I don't know why he switched it in. Probably, honestly, spikes is the only thing that makes sense to me. Unless he's Rapid Spin Fortress and Rapid Spin Stormy.
That seems quite silly, right? I think you wouldn't run Starmie if you had double Rapid Spin. But why is he running Starmie Fortress in the first place? That just seems strange.
Well, that's like the best way of hazard controlling GSC, more or less. Since Fortress ensures spikes on the field, Stormy ensures you gotta spin since it's the best spinner in the entire tier. Ooh, this freeze is big.
Oh, there's a freeze? Oh no. You hate to see that. You hate to see that. So that Snorlax is probably going to be out of commission. How do freeze mechanics work in GSC?
Well, freeze is like the biggest bitch in this general.
Well, my understanding is that it's probably worse than RBY.
It's like not RBY freeze, since RBY freeze is an instant KO.
Yeah.
And GSC freeze is the second worst freeze because you have a 10% chance to fall, and only at the end of the turn. Oh, he got lucky, he fought immediately. Turn 2. You can actually freeze something, and at the same turn it can fall at the end. If you're lucky enough.
So that Snorlax is in knockout range on a 50-50, so Kennen's probably going to want to switch out and then get Snorlax back in for free on the Gengar.
Well, it's not free anymore since he's at 34%, and if the Gengar's Thunder, it can KO. So we gotta
Does
get this
Gengar
going
run
somehow
Thunder?
differently in.
So what is this Fortress going to do? How does it touch Curse Lax?
Explosion.
It's going to go bada boom. That was
That's
bad.
the only
I'm
way
sorry.
he can scare it out. That or he is Curse Boom, which I doubt he is.
So does Fortress just switch out here, or does it just, if it explodes, Fear just controls the spikes, controls the hazards? Well, lost his Snorlax, so that'll be pretty bad.
Well, he probably just wants to force the legs out. I doubt he's gonna boom here.
Forces Lax out into Gengar. Fear does not want to get exploded on. And Kennen just goes Starmie, trying to heal off on a potential rest from the Snorlax. Maybe?
Yeah. Well, it couldn't have rested since if you boom,
You don't
ends
get a
the
chance to
turn
move,
immediately.
right?
Yeah.
That is a dumb mechanic.
Well, it's like the mechanic for RBY, GSC, AUE, and I'm not sure if it's the same in PvP. I think they changed it after AUE.
Oh, wow. That's an extra 25% on the switch hit. Probably just going to want to get the rest off here, right?
Yeah, he should just rest here.
Toxic is...
Could actually double edge since, like, the Skarm's low. If he gets crit on the Skarm, this might be essentially over since the legs just wins.
This is Raiko's last turn of sleep. So...
Oh, he could roar here.
just go Skarm on the rest. Smart play from Kennen.
Yeah, it's his best play, and Fear makes the best play too. He just rests since he knows the Skarm's going in.
GSC is stupid, man. It's turn 47 and they haven't even revealed all 6.
Oh, their worst games last SPL had like an 800 turn game.
Did you win?
Just to end up in a tie.
Did you win? Oh, Oh, that's awful, dude.
We played like 3 hours, dude.
That's awful. You don't think this game will go on for that long, though, right?
I doubt it. He has the offensive tools to actually pressure Keenan enough to win this game easy. Or not easily, but like way easier than Keenan can.
And so Keenan comes in onto to the Starmie on the Fortress, gonna rapid spin, but also pressures the special attacks. So if Fortress, just spikes here, but Starmie goes for, say, a Surf, that'll be really bad for Fear. So Fear's probably gonna want to switch his Fortress out into Snorlax, and Starmie's just gonna rapid spin just because it's safe.
Exactly. Like, going to Lex is his best bet since he is at 0 sleep turns burned and he wants to burn some of them. Oh, never mind. I've missed some turn. Oops, my bad. But waking up Lex is better.
So Fortress comes in on the rest from Umbreon, so you spike on the Starmie, switch in, and Fortress is just healing off. I don't think Kennen is winning this battle of attrition.
He's most likely losing it unless he gets lucky.
So, but I also don't see how Fear breaks anything. Like, what is Fear knocking out?
All he needs to actually be gone is the Raikou, since the Vaporeon sets up on the Starmie, and the Starmie can't do much back unless it gets a Psychic drop. It sets up on the Umbreon, it does enough damage to the Skarmory so that it can't phase it forever, it can like attempt one phase and then can't do it anymore. And he needs the Snorlax.
Ooh, that's an excellent double from Fear. Recognizes that he won't be keeping the spikes up for that long. Doubles into Raikou, then doubles back into Ferrothorn. Just getting that recovery across all of the members of his team until he lets Ferrothorn take a Thunderbolt to get up another layer.
Yeah, he's playing this really well.
Do you think spiking on turn 62 was good?
Considering he got the Fortress back to almost full after he did like in the early game.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I would say yes, since he did it once already and he got it back to full almost.
Then it's not an issue.
He has a raw Raikou himself and he can pressure with that the Stormy. So it's not that bad to spike there, since the Mii can't spin on the Raikou and he can't switch the Gengar into the rapid spin.
Do you think we're going to see PP stall of any of the rests? And
Perhaps.
We'll get to see what this Umbreon is. It is Pursuit last move. Probably just going to see Raikou go for little bits of chip damage here. But just roars out the Umbreon. Smart play. Pursuit's only doing 4% after leftovers. And goes for Thunder on the Ferrothorn. Doesn't want to let it get up spikes for free. Smart play.
I think it would have died anyway that turn. I'm not since he might be HP Fire Fortress and it has like lowered HP DVs, which result in it having 3 HP DVs. That means it loses a bunch of health, and so a bunch of shit does more damage than it usually does. And this Thunder might have KO'd. That's why he switched out.
And Raikou going for a couple roars there, roaring on the Raikou switch in, then roaring on the Skarmory switching into Raikou.
Spike shuffle here.
Yeah, I think it was a good mechanic change in Gen 3 to allow spikes to go up to 3 layers. Just 1 layer of spikes doesn't seem like enough.
Well, many people disagree with you here since they say 3 layer of spikes is already broken and Stealthrox is even more broken.
They're pretty broken, I'm not gonna lie. Stealthrox is so good, it's even good in doubles. Absolutely disgusting move.
Interesting to see how like 1 layer of spikes would be an ADV, considering the mechanic changes and the overall move changes and shit like that. Compared to 3 layers of spikes in ADV, but that's like a question.
Well, I also do like that they created new items other than leftovers.
Yeah.
Is there any reason to run anything besides leftovers or no item?
There's Miracle Berry, that's basically Lumberry of GSE.
Does anyone use it?
Yes, on full Baton Pass teams. Sometimes some Thief users use it. So, for example, a Skarm switches into an executor and uses sleep powder, and you get to waste your miracle berry that you can feed it or feed anything that comes in.
And the Snorlax got down pretty low. That's Thunder range, if I'm not mistaken.
I think 29 is max Thunder, so he needs a kind of high roll.
But Kennen probably doesn't want to risk it. But if he switches out, he'll be at 20.
Risk it since he has no other way to actually get it up to health.
Yeah, because if it switches in again, it's at 16, and there's nothing Snorlax really wants to come in on at 16%. So, well, it would be at 22, right, after leftovers?
Yeah, okay, 30 is high roll. He needs a high roll Thunder, and he needs to hit.
You just go for it, right? For sure.
Yeah, I would Thunder.
And just switches Raikou out into Vaporeon. Trying to get the growth, perhaps?
Yeah, he's probably just trying to go for a game, like.
And Kennen's taking all the time in the world. Really burning down his clock. Here, Fear just goes for growth, right? There's no reason to go for anything else.
He should grow. I don't know how many sleepers the Raikou burned, but this looks good for Vaporeon.
Kennen's taking all the time. You know, maybe we'll see this one also come down to a timeout. Starmie comes in, and Vaporeon does get off the growth, so Kennen using this opportunity to get a rapid spin off. Does Vaporeon carry hit? What's Vaporeon's normal moveset? Growth, Water move.
Growth, Surf, Rest, Sleep Talk.
Oh god. So yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's
getting
just
the free
wins,
growth
it's all-
off. Is there going to be a Psychic Drop? No Psychic Drop. So Vaporeon going up to +3 stages of special attack. Does that two-shot Starmie through leftovers?
At 1999, special attack it should. If this was Thunderstormy, he wouldn't beat it. But it's Psychic, since Psychic, he needs Psychic to not lose too much. Oh, there's a special
There is a
drop.
Spidef drop, and so Vaporeon goes for the rest. I think you're going to see at least one Sleep Talk here.
Okay, he shouldn't risk this, since this special drop hurts him a lot.
Don't you just go for one, though?
Well, a crit Psychic probably KOs the Vaporeon, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think on turn 85, I would definitely switch out. Does crit, so remind me again, with a reduced stage of special defense, does crit take into account the drop?
Yes, I believe it takes it into account. I'm not sure because I'm not the guy who ever gets lucky enough to get the special drop and then crit as special
And
drop.
gets a crit and special drop at the same time. Fear is able to burn, however, all of the sleep turns on his Vaporeon. So, really well done. Vaporeon's going to be able to attack the second it comes in, but this Snorlax is not happy to have been hit by that Starmie. I think you probably just go back to Vaporeon. Here.
Yeah, he could just go back to Vaporeon and execute his plan again, but the Scar might just, never mind, it shouldn't stay in, since Surf does a lot of damage, and then he loses his best Snorlax.
Goes into Raikou, but that's in Surf range, and Vaporeon's not in Thunderbolt range, so Raikou, it's only taken one turn of sleep. That's really bad for Kennen. Switches into Starmie, strong play.
for the special crit, or crit, or both.
It should happen 9 out of 10, 81 out of 100. And there's a special drop again on the third go. Vaporeon resting up. Gonna take a bit too much from this next Psychic to stay in. And yeah, just switches out into Raikou. Says, hey, fine, you got me again. The chances of getting a crit on the third one are roughly 28%. But if Fear can ever get, but Kennen can't switch Raikou into Vaporeon. So if Fear can ever set up another sweep with Vaporeon, this game should just be over.
Yeah, this is always a bad move since Fortress gets spikes for free.
Yep. It's really unfortunate,
but we should be put into +1 surf range after spikes, considering it's at 62%.
And Fear just goes Snorlax, not going Vaporeon because.
Oh, never mind. Raikou just instantly dies to surf at +0 after spikes, so he gotta get it in somehow.
I think he just curse here.
Over for Keen. He can just curse and force damage and force roar and shit like that. Like, Porin basically sealed this deal, since Keenan's team just really is getting trashed usually. And there is the flamethrower. I don't know why he kept it for so long.
Oh, he knocked out the Fortress. Okay, sure.
Yeah, he's cursed flamethrower outlet.
Because he's flamethrower, not fire blast, maybe.
I know why he's using flamethrowers first.
Smart go to Starmie on Kennen's part. Now Fortress feels really uncomfortable.
I think it tanks a surf, I'm not sure.
Spinning.
Depends if he's HP fire.
Goes back into Snorlax. Just, playing it safe. Fear's developed a very strong position. Doesn't want to throw it away on a greedy play. Just goes for Curse with the Snorlax, boosting up. Do you think he makes the same play again? Back into Ferrothorn? Fortress.
Yeah, Fortress, yeah.
And Umbreon just charms, so Fear's able to get this rapid spin off. It's going to put him in a massively favored position.
He was always guaranteed to get the spin off.
Yeah, but he got it,
The Umbreon gives him always a free turn.
Fortress just goes into Vaporeon to take the water attack. Back into Fortress. We know the Snorlax. Do we know the Snorlax doesn't have a fire move?
Well, both are fire legs.
Goes into Gengar on the rapid spin. Starmie doesn't go for the Psychic there. Really strong play from Fear. Goes Raikou on the Psychic, doesn't get crit. But a crit would knock out the Raikou from this range. Maybe Ken should go for that, but doesn't. Goes Snorlax on the Thunder. So Raikou is back at 50%, really strong, and able to get the Roar off, but goes into Raikou, which is going to burn an extra turn of sleep for Kennen.
Well, this is an iffy turn for Kennen since...
Is there another game going on?
You can just HBIs you.
Jimmy wait, hold up. Do you want to watch the DPP game? He'll go quick.
Since this game is essentially over.
Okay, so let's move to DPP. We'll come back to GSC if it's still going on when we're done. But Jimmy Turtwig versus TOF. I know that Jimmy Turtwig is one of the top DPP players, or at least used to be a couple years ago. But do you know anything about TOF?
Well, he won Smogon Tour. I don't remember which one, but like ages ago. Probably before you and I even played this game competitively. And that was like during the DPP days where you had like DPP, OU, UU, and Ubers in Smogon Tours.
That was before I played Pokemon. That was just before I ever picked up competitive. I picked it up in at the start of Gen 5. I think just after the Drizzle Swift swim ban.
But like TOF is known for being a DPP main, but he only really plays like SPL and World Cup, nothing else. And he obviously, or what not obviously, but he's always on the Sharks. At least the last seasons, he's always been on the Sharks.
For the record, Fear versus Kennen proves using the avatar makes you more powerful. Oh, Gengar boomed, knocked out the Starmie.
Well, Fear just wins now.
And somehow he knocked out the Skarmory.
He got the boom off on the skull with the fortress. That's what.
No. Oh, he got the boom off on the Skarmory with the fortress, and then he boomed the Starmie with the Gengar. So Fear trading 2 for 2, but when you're up so much, trading 2 for 2 is really in your favor. But here,
Fear is just doing the best. Like he just keeps doubling, getting spikes damage up.
Yeah. Okay. So coming back to this game, Jimmy revealing the Breloom. I don't know what this team is likely to have in the back. Lead Azelf is something I'm not really familiar with.
Well, I think Lead Azelf was like really is like common on like super offensive teams, but I'm not sure myself. I don't really play DPP.
Well, yeah. So the idea of Azelf is that it's a suicide lead, right? But Jimmy first has a suicide lead, and then Toxic or Breloom and a Jirachi. But this game looks like it's going to be over. Maybe not too quickly, but a lot faster than some of the other ones. Gets the boom off with Azelf. Tyranitar used Pursuit. Didn't get the rocks off. Earlier this month, or maybe last month, there was a bug where if you used Boom, the other Pokemon wouldn't be able to attack even if you used Stealth Rocks. And that was really unpleasant to ladder with.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I was like, the Azelf's going to use Boom. I'll use Stealth Rocks. And the Azelf boomed it, said there was no target for Stealth Rocks, and I was very confused. But now, probably working correctly, but Pursuit definitely has no target. Jimmy gets critical damage on the Tyranitar, I assume, but mostly just says, hey, my Azelf is trapped, can't do anything, so we'll just boom here, see what we can get out of it. And Mach Punches with the Breloom, not sure I like that. Probably could have gone for like a Focus Punch there. Would have done a lot more than Celebi.
I'm probably afraid the Teeter is mixed, since the Azelf was faster, and I think Scarftar is faster than non-Scarf Azelf. I'm not sure. And if it's mixed Teeter, Fire Blast probably KO'd Breloom, so we didn't want to risk.
That's fair. So just Mach Punches there, but Toph, recognizes that Mach Punch is a possibility. Goes Celebi. Going to be able to get a pretty free recover off here, so Jimmy is going to have to go to either one of his unrevealed Pokemon or to his Jirachi, but Celebi just gets up the Stealth Rocks. I didn't even know it learned that, and sacrifices itself for them.
Oh, there's a Zapdos. Interesting.
Huh. So this should just be a Heat Wave, right? You've seen... Well, I guess you could Thunderbolt.
That's HP flying.
Ooh. Unfortunate for TOF. It feels Zapdos as leftovers. Pretty common item on Zapdos. Especially when it's in the back. Might have Thunder Wave, but if you had Thunder Wave, I think you go for it on turn 11. The Breloom's pretty clearly switching out.
Yeah.
Not sure I liked the... Ooh, and Tyranitar reveals Lumberry. Just pursuits the Zapdos, so probably going to get Toxic again next turn. I think you want to go for a Crunch here. I think I'm fine crunching whatever switches in. And I'm fine crunching the Zapdos if it roosts in, yeah. Jimmy Turtwig thinks the exact same thing. Crunch does slightly more than Roost heals, so you're going to just win the damage trade eventually. So TOF tries to Thunderbolt, maybe wants to preserve his back mons, but this game is looking pretty negative. And that seems like TOF has fast Tyranitar with superpower. Or maybe Custap Tyranitar?
Probably.
So you really want to switch into this that... So I expect Jimmy to have another ground immunity that's not named Tyranitar. And this Tyranitar is not banned. So maybe there's a Flygon in the back? Something to beat an Earthquaker. You want something that doesn't just lose to Infernape. So Flygon seems reasonable. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that HP flying, considering that almost every team has Tyranitar now. Considering the Latios drop, you need to have your Latios answers, and T-Tar is one of the best. And TOF just gets the superpower off. Jimmy decides he doesn't need the T-Tar.
Well, Jimmy probably just went for it and risked it if his T-Tar. Well, he didn't know if the T-Tar was fast or not, so he just went for it and.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that, TOF is saying, when TOF switches in his T-Tar, he's saying, I know my T-Tar is faster than yours. Hey, Wendy. Wendy's muted. Unfortunate.
Well, he doesn't
There you
know
are.
how fast Jimmy's T-Tar is. And
J-Turt and Poff are starting.
What?
Poff and J-Turt.
Yeah. Yep, that's what we're talking about. Fear dumpstered Kennen, I think. Vaporeon eventually got to +5 and KO'd everything. We never got to see Fear's last Pokemon, which is kind of unfortunate.
Are you guys watching Toss Jimmy now?
Yes.
yeah, we stopped watching the GC game
When it was over.
Since Fear basically won when he revealed the Vaporeon, since it was just a matter of time till he won.
And Jimmy deciding that getting the Mach Punch off is probably the best play. Notice that's not Scarf T-Tar, apparently, but is fine not revealing his back Pokemon. What do you think they are, Wendy? I think there's a Flygon in the back.
One of them is a water.
One of them should be immune to ground, right? You don't want Azelf to be your only ground immunity.
Not necessarily.
Mm.
If it's like a Swampert or something, then that would be fine.
Or Gyarados. Okay.
Bulky Star would also be fine here.
Sure. And Raji goes for the Iron Head, but I think it's not Starmie, because I think Rapid Spin does 1% to Tyranitar. Why does he have lead Azelf on such a balanced team?
Sorry, give me 1 sec. I need to watch from the start.
Okay, sure. Wendy, watching the game from the start, because it's really hard to understand DPP without looking at all the plays, what information could possibly be revealed. TOF thinks this about wraps it up, that Spore is going to put Jimmy in a really advantageous position, not getting flinched by Jirachi. Honestly, if it was me in charge of this tier, I probably would ban Jirachi because it's just so cancerous. But, dude, Jirachi's cancer, don't even lie.
Okay. I'll accept that.
It's not overpowered. It's just cancer.
That's very true.
I don't like my games coming down to Rachi doing Rachi things.
Okay, so Jimmy's last are going to be the Gara. You called it.
The water. You said it was a water. Because I was thinking that he needed an answer to Infernape. But and Gyarados also is a ground immune, so I think it's fits the two things I was looking for from the slot. I don't know what the last is.
Last is gonna be Scarf something.
Yeah, he hasn't revealed. It wasn't Scarftar because it went Pursuit and then it crunched. And it wasn't Bantar. That looks like banned Gyarados damage.
Yeah, that is banned.
It literally
It literally
revealed leftovers, dude.
revealed leftovers.
Oh my god.
We're good at this game. We promise.
What the hell
This
is
might
Toff
just be offensive turd since it revealed Earth Power, dude.
Yeah, it was Earth Power Ice Beam.
so bad?
But gonna protect, try and get the leftovers recovery. Is able to do it, but needs to not get paralyzed this turn as well. Just wants to do 28% more of this Gyarados, but I just... And gets the roll, but is paralyzed. So, overall, relatively fortunate. Looks unfortunate for TOF, but he wasn't particularly favored to get the Ice Beam off there anyway. Reveals last as probably Agility Metagross.
Yeah, that's agility on this team. Does he get it? Oh, he doesn't get it
Ooh.
off. That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate.
Oh!
It's actually
Jirachi's not the problem. It's Gyarados.
It's actually Razor Fang. I'm telling you.
No, dude, it's leftovers. It's Choice Band.
I don't. Okay, so J-Tric's last is probably say Scarftran, but
I was
that's
about to say the same since, like, first of all,
Is there anything else? Is there a NU game left?
there's an NU game left, but it's like being played close to the deadline, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
way too late.
Okay, and that's the last game. So we're probably just gonna head out once we analyze that game. So tell me about it, Winsong.
okay. So you see the turn one Azelf Sella. Honestly, pretty surprised that Toff stayed in there.
Because Azelf frequently would just U-turn in this slot and do like 80.
Yeah, I mean, you always check for CVs elf there. Is probably the best, or Colbert in there.
Azelf doesn't U-turn on turn 2 because he's scared of Scarf Jirachi. Makes sense.
Yeah. Which is correct.
Jimmy doesn't U-turn on turn 3 because he doesn't have it. Switches out
Also
to Kurt.
correct. I would have liked to see a double on turn 2 from Jimmy, but it's okay.
You
Or I
on
mean
turn
from Toff.
2? Yeah. Oh, from Toff.
Yeah. Goes to Pert, get the rocks up.
No, the rocks are on the Celebi, actually.
Yeah. Sorry, Toff's team is whack.
Yeah, I don't really understand it.
Okay. Guitar is not
Yeah, I think
super.
I'm gonna turn the stream off. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you guys later.